full.
Yeah, you think.
One meeting to the next. So here we are, and we're glad to be here, and we're especially glad that all of you are here. We're going to be honored to start our meeting today by our invocation will be given by Reverend Alex Wilkie, a retired Baptist minister and just a pillar of our community. After our invocation, our Pledge of Allegiance will be given by retired U.S. Army Sergeant Nick Miller from American Legion Post 100. So, thank you.
Shall we pray? Today, with much criticism being given about government, today we're all present between two great days of the past. This commissioners' meeting will be questions about the Northern Corridor and the pipeline. What each member feels, the way that they should vote on these issues before the government body. One day votes will be given. Today, the vote that we do this day is important to the county. Now may we thank the God of creation that we have such issues to deal with. Now may we be blessed by actions of His Son living in our lives. May we say a great big thank you. In Jesus we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much, Reverend.
Would we please stand when I say you all say the Pledge of Allegiance with me?
Thank you so much, and thank you for your service, and thank you, Reverend
Absolutely.
Wilkie, for being here.
Thank you.
It's always just a spectacular way to start off our county commission meetings. It's my favorite part, so thank you. Well, our first item is the consent agenda. The consent agenda is a means of expediting the consideration of routine matters. If a commissioner requests that items be removed from the consent agenda, those items are placed at the beginning of the regular agenda. Other than requests to remove items, a motion to approve the items on the consent agenda is non-debatable.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to make a motion to approve of today's consent agenda, consisting of item A, consideration of auditor approved claims for payment for February 5th, 2020 through February 18th of 2020. Item B, consideration of regular commission meeting minutes of February 4th, 2020 and special commission meeting minutes of February 5th, 2020. Item C, consideration of administrative adjustments for real property. Item D, consideration of administrative adjustments for personal property. Item E, consideration of application for property tax abatements, of which there are 7. And item F, consideration of disposal of surplus property from Washington County Legacy Park, a forklift and floor cleaner. That would be my motion.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion that we approve the consent agenda. I would like to see the forklift and floor cleaner working together in tandem. I don't know how that works.
Yeah, that will be interesting. Yeah. Well, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor of approving the consent agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Well, our first item today is, I don't know if this is a good day or a bad day, but we have a changing of the guard at our attorney's office. And Brock Belknap, who has been our attorney for 17 years, 23 years he's served with the county. And in my time as a county commissioner, and even prior to my time as I got to know Brock, I just really appreciated him. But especially as a county commissioner, I always reached out to Brock when I wanted some real sage and sound advice, and appreciated not only for his legal advice, but for just the way that he thinks and has conducted himself. And so we'd like to celebrate Brock's service to the county today. And let's see, we do have a resolution that we'd like to read. Does somebody have that? Oh, here it is right
Imagine that.
Happy to. Thank you, Chair. This resolution is number R 2020-2574. A resolution expressing gratitude to Washington County Attorney Brock Belknap for collaborative, proactive leadership. Don't you think you should stand up in front? I'm kidding. Right. Whereas Brock Belknap served as a Washington County Attorney for 17 years, whereas Brock's unique talent set includes extremely high emotional intelligence, sound critical reasoning, and exceptional writing. Whereas Brock's skills, combined with his caring personality, have caused people to seek his advice on resolving the most complicated issues and implementing solutions in the areas of criminal justice, victim support, and local government. Whereas Brock consistently brings people together and fosters a spirit of collaboration among law enforcement, victim support, and other community groups. Whereas Brock's motto of do the right things for the right reasons has caused him to proactively take action on difficult issues, including his years of support to the victims in Hilldale area and the implementation of court support services, which seeks to include appropriate treatment programs in the criminal justice system. Whereas over the years, Brock has mentored numerous individuals that are now in leadership positions all over Washington County. His ability to trust, encourage, and gently correct is the model of good leadership. Whereas while there are many large projects Brock has overseen, the most lasting impacts from his time as county attorney are felt by the many individuals that he has personally helped and strengthened through his kindness. Now, therefore, be it resolved that Washington County is grateful to Brock Belknap for his collaborative, proactive leadership as a county attorney. Voted upon and passed by the Washington County Commission at a regular meeting of the Washington County Commission held on the 8th day of February 2020. Appreciation from commissioners and our current county attorney, acting Eric Clark. Brock, would you care to come forward?
Now, we wanted to get Brock something to honor him, and we didn't know quite what to get him. Of course, everybody deserves a plaque, and we'll give that to you in a second. You can put that in your office. We use that for fingerprints because we know that. We know that fingerprints are something you're familiar with, except for in a negative way. And some of you may, I think everybody here knows Brock, knows that he runs and he's athletic. And so we felt like a pair of running shoes would be the best gift we could get you. So thank you so much. And as long as we continue to brag, and I know you guys still have some kind words to say about Brock, but I will say this one last thing. As many of you know, I served as the president of the Association of Counties of Utah. And so I became familiar with all of our counties in the state. I'll tell you what, I came to appreciate Brock and our county attorney's office more and more as I became more familiar with other counties. You have been a blessing to us, and I'm not saying this just because it's your last day and you're going to be up at the Water District, but you have absolutely done great things in this county. And I think you're very, very proud of your service here, something that is very spectacular, and I personally appreciate it, but I know the citizens.
And now, before we're all done with this, I want to actually take a vote on that resolution.
Yeah. I was kind of like, hey, we've always been accused of doing things behind closed doors, but
And so I'm going to assume that Commissioner Alston,
I made the motion.
Almquist made the motion. I'm going to second it. We can vote on it in a minute.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Motion
But,
passed.
what I wanted to add was I've known Brock. I hate to advertise how long, kind of tips the scale on how old I am. But I've known him for 40 years, and I'm thinking Brock was 14 or 15 when I first got to know him. I was so impressed by him at that time. I've watched with anxious appreciation for what he was going to do, because I knew he was going to make a difference in our community. Brock, I have not been let down or disappointed. You've been an awesome partner. You've been awesome. Thank you. And remember, we right to pick your brain a little bit if we still need. And Eric's going to be a wonderful county attorney in your stead. Thank you so much.
So I hope that after this is over, we can take a little picture. Thank you, commissioners and everybody. The first thing I'd like to say is how grateful I am to the voters of Washington County for the trust for the past 17 years, and then for the county opportunity an employee here for 23 years. I was reminiscing, so I hope you don't mind if I share a little bit of my reminiscences. So I had the privilege of serving, besides serving with our wonderful current team of county commissioners. I started my work with Commissioner Jerry Lewis, Gail Aldred, Alan Gardner, Jim Erdley, Denny Drake, Ben Victor, and Zach Renstrom, Dean Cox, and Gil Almquist. And it's been an awesome pleasure to work with you, serve with you, and watch how each of those individuals and you have always had the best interests of the county at heart. And I also had the privilege of serving with 3 sheriffs, Woody Humphreys, Kirk Smith, and then my lifelong friend, Corey. Sorry. What a pleasure to serve with those men. One of the best decisions I think I made was about 10 years ago when I hired an attorney named Eric Clark. Turned out to be a fantastic addition to the county, and you know how wonderful his service has been. And I don't think that there could be a better person to take over the county attorney's office. And then, many of you might know this, but if you don't, the county has blessed my life immeasurably, because my first day on the job, I met my wife, who at the time was working as the secretary to the county commissioner. So that was actually a tricky period of time, maneuvering that. But my life has been blessed immensely by the county, and I will cherish every day and every memory. And harder than I thought to let go, but I'm excited about the new opportunity I'm undertaking. So thank you for the recognition, thank you for the gifts, and I'm hoping that we will still be in the trenches together as we dig a very big pipeline here in the short term.
I think
Thank
that's
you.
the only thing that really makes this fun, Brock, is that we know that we'll get to, tolerable would be the better word, is that we know that we're going to be able to continue to work with you, especially, I mean, I get to serve on that board, so, but anyway.
So is it okay if we take a picture with Eric?
Okay, move to adjourn.
Yeah. You really should. On the,
On the high note.
we'll go on to our purchase request, Ray.
Always seem to be the more mundane part. Okay, the first purchase requisition I have is for tourism for a German co-op campaign. This is in conjunction with the Utah Office of Tourism and TUI Germany in a total of $50,000. The next one I have is a co-funding project. This is the final payment for 2019 in conjunction with Utah Office of Tourism for a total of $17,500. The next one I have is for our Habitat Conservation Plan, HCP, for the drill work for the foundation of the staircase at Confluence Park. The total work estimated is $17,500, but we were instructed to put a possible contingency in for $5,000 additional dollars in case extra work was needed, and for a total of $22,500.
I'd like to make a comment there real fast, Ray.
Sure.
That, we're going to get a 50% match, our contribution, and then we're going to get
Yes.
a grant for that. So it's
Yeah, I
we're
included that.
leveraging those funds.
I included that on the requisition that was going to happen.
Okay.
So either way, if we spend the $5,000 or not, we'll get
Oh,
50% of
yeah.
it back. Yeah. And then, so the total on that is $22,500 possibly. The next one is for tires for one of the dump trucks out at the road shed. These are really big, super awesome tires. That's why they're so expensive. And it's 4 tires and all the connections, accessories, all the good stuff to go with them for $10,597. And we did get some discounts on that for trading one good tire in. The next one is for some road-based material for the roads department. And this is for $11,218.91. And unless there's any questions, that's all I have.
Any questions, commissioners?
I'd just make a comment on that. 22,500. That is up to 22,000.
Yes,
Okay.
up to.
Oh, that's good because
I'd
I had
make
some
a-
questions on that.
Yeah, I'd make a motion. Aren't any other questions?
My only thought on the 22,000 for that drilling is that if we also need to work with our partners, not only Cameron, but also in those maybe even involved with a little bit of Laverkin, and that is to say, if it goes better than expected, that street needs to go both ways. And I know they've given a bid, but they can't also say if it goes worse, that we want more, which we've approved up to a point, up to a high water mark. But I know how that drilling goes. It may also go very smooth, and we ought to be observant of that at the same time.
I think that's actually item 10 that you might be thinking about. This is a whole nother $22,000 that we're going to spend.
I was talking about I was talking about the drilling.
Oh, the drilling. Okay,
Yeah.
very good.
I do have a little extra note on that drilling. On the estimate that we received, the extra 5,000, in addition to being like a contingency type budget, this work is also considered a hazardous work environment where additional safety precautions and equipment will be necessary to complete the project. So that's kind of where they were unsure if there was going to be additional costs or not.
Gotcha.
Very good. All right.
Mr. Chairman, I'd make a motion to approve the purchase requests as presented.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. We're on to the sheriff's report.
I want to take just a little bit of a moment and just remind everybody Brock, you better get a bigger office. We need to put a comfortable chair because I need a new hiding spot. Because even though you're going away, I'm not going to quit bugging you. We do go back quite a long ways, and we'll just leave it at that. For the search and rescue report for this month, we have 9 more additional call-outs. Brought us to 20 for the year. You'd think that with it being colder and stuff, things would slow down, but it hasn't. I'm just going to touch on a couple of them and maybe get into a little bit of detail on a few of them, but responded to an injured hiker on the Chuckawalla Trail, was able to work with St. George Fire, go in, get the individual and help pack them out, and brought them out to a UTV to be transported to EMS. Had some individuals that got stuck up on Danish Ranch Road. Interesting, the people want to follow their GPS, little Garmin's, with some of the directions that they give without paying much attention to the actual road that they're going on. The vehicle got extremely stuck to the point that we were not able to help them. We were able to get the people out, but the vehicle stayed up there, told them they need to get one of the off-road towing companies up there to deal with it. The very next day, some other individuals decided they was going to try the road and actually slid off at the exact same time. And so then we had to go up and deal with a vehicle accident on the same exact spot. So,
Is that the main road that they were on?
yeah, well, you get a little bit of water and stuff up there on that Danish Ranch Road, and it's just slippery, slick. Pretty good ruts and stuff. I'm sure that County Roads knows every time they have to go up there and plow it and fix it.
It's getting a lot of
I don't know
traffic.
whether that's going to help us on the calls or not, though. It might actually give them better access to try and go further.
GPS off somewhere the road isn't that long.
Lost hiker in Snow Canyon. Individual did get off the trail. He actually fell. We were not able to locate him. We had a lot of manpower and resources out there throughout the night. 64 man hours that went into that. He was injured, realized he was in trouble, so he just kind of laid down. Had enough stuff with him that he slept through the night, and the next morning was able to work his way out as the rescuers were coming in to get to him. He was checked out by medical. Decided that he'd make his own way to the hospital, so he wouldn't even take the transport. But one of the few that we go on that, bad things happen, but he actually was prepared and ready to deal with it. It just took him a little bit longer than what he expected. Dealt with a UTV accident south of Santa Clara. 3 individuals that rolled one of the side-by-sides. One individual actually had amputated most lower part of his arm. Oh, wow. The area that they were in, they could not get cell service. Still don't know how he did it, but he was able to, with the others, hike up to up on top of a hill to get enough cell service to call for assistance, and then get him transported out and taken to RMC. We dealt with a motorcycle accident out on Sidewinder Trail. Dealt with a call up on Island in the Sky, where an individual was injured, fallen, ankle and shoulder injuries. They actually had to put the individual in a Stokes, rappel them 430 feet off the face to get them down to medical. Another injured hiker that we worked with St. George Fire up on the Red Hill. Injured mountain biker out on Gooseberry Mesa. And just this last call was an injured mountain biker out on Stookie Springs, which we actually had members from St. George Fire, EMS, Gold Cross, Santa Clara responded. Search and Rescue, Lifelike actually came out and assisted. But I don't know what I'd do without our volunteers with Search and Rescue for the calls of service and the cooperation that we get with all the different agencies. So appreciate them and all that they do.
Thank you, Sheriff.
Appreciate you.
And pass that appreciation on to your search and rescue members as well.
Sheriff had mentioned his association with Brock. I think when Brock was 12, he had not a lemonade stand, but a legal advice stand, and Corey was a frequent visitor.
Well, it's probably still pretty good advice. I mean, he's only gotten better with time, but yeah, it's probably very good. Thank you, Sheriff. Item 5 is consideration of resolution R-2020-2571, a resolution approving an amendment to an agreement between Washington County Council on Aging and Valley Services, Inc. regarding food services provided to the Council of Aging Jacob Browning, I have you down as talking about this. This is your provider for your food services at the different centers.
Give you a little bit of background on this. In 2016, we put out an RFP for a food service, and we did sign a 2-year contract with Valley Foods with the option to be able to do 1-year extensions up to 3. And so this would be the 3rd and final extension before next year we'd have to do another RFP before we'd be able to go into contract with them. This year they submitted for a 2.5% increase, which on the consumer pricing index falls right in line with that, with the 2.5. But if you look down on the line items on the CPI under the food services, it was actually an increase of 3.1. So we're still getting a little bit of a discount there. If you look at our total price before we had had them take over, we're still 4.5% below the price that we were before we went into contract with Valley. So we're still getting quite a bang for our buck there. They're really great to work with. They're really susceptible to change and adaptable to anything we need. They have a nutritionist on staff that helps us stay within our nutritional needs on the federal side on there. So really great company.
Oh, very good. And they're a regional company or a national company?
National.
So they're a national company. They just joined. So it's Valley Foods DBA Trio Foods. And they just joined with the Western company that they bought out or joined forces with was Bateman. I don't know if you've heard that name before. And then Valley, and then there was another East Coast, and they kind of all joined together. So they're kind of a regional superfood provider.
Very good.
I have a few statistics. Last year, our congregate meals, we provided 26,991 meals. Our home delivery was 59,870 meals, so a total of 86,861. So they do provide quite a bit of meals for us.
So you provide more Meals on Wheels than Congregate then?
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Yeah, we do.
I hadn't, for some reason I thought that was reverse, but okay.
It's growing. We're about 3,000 meals so far year over year from looking at January numbers of where we were last year and where just the month end close up for January this year. We're about 3,000 above overall, not just on Congregate, but within the home delivery. So we are growing about 3 to 4% growth that we've seen this year. So, and I expect that. We're in a high time right now because all the snowbirds are down. So we do slow down a little bit in July, August.
Well, great. Any other questions?
No question.
I'll move that we approve the resolution number 2020-2571, approving an amendment to an agreement between Washington County Council on Aging and Valley Services, Inc. regarding food services provided to the council.
I will second the motion.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. The motion passes. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Item 6 is consideration of resolution R-2020-2572, a resolution approving Globaltel Link Corporation agreement. And James?
Afternoon, gentlemen.
Under Sheriff?
So this is a renegotiation of our contract with GTL, our Globaltel Link, with our inmate phone system. They provided some significant perks that we were fond of. One in particular was that they were willing to provide a person on site according to our hours to help facilitate the visiting hours that were going to take place. That was probably the most interesting piece that they were willing to provide. Also a minimum number, so no matter what happens or within the telephone system in the jail, we're guaranteed a specific amount, $150,000 a year. And that can go up depending on the numbers, but it will never go lower than that. And the contract goes for 3 years, and then there would be a rollover clause for 2 additional years if we chose to do so.
So if I understand it, I haven't had to use this service myself, but
Always first.
so it's not like the old days where the movie shows you're there between the glass. This is you pick it up and it's a video
Correct.
communication.
Yeah, it's a video call done via computer and phones. It's a kiosk essentially at the facility that you can contact your loved ones at home, wherever home may be. So they're not even close to us most of the time, which we prefer. It significantly improves our method of operation without having to deal with people in the jail wanting to visit people. We don't have to move them. They can do it from where they are. and it's generally better for everyone involved.
How many years have you been using this opposed to?
We've been with this company now, which is essentially an extension of GTL, for probably 5, maybe more.
5 years.
Yeah, a while.
Super.
I
So
noticed,
this allows people at home?
Correct.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And that was the biggest piece for us now is we have inmates from all over the state. A lot of those people's families simply don't want to travel or can't facilitate travel weekly to come visit those people. So to be able to do it on your computer from home is very advantageous. Plus, it eliminates any contraband nuisance issues that we've previously had to deal with. So it's very nice in that regard.
A lot of our inmates are assigned by the state, so
Correct.
they're not just in Washington County. They could have family
Yep, absolutely.
quite distant areas.
Yep.
well,
Hey.
I know there's a concern around that inmates use the phones for not best of intents.
Well, when they do that, the phone conversations are recorded, and we generally know right away.
Well, I was noticing that the base features from the company would prevent them from being able to do that,
Correct.
including the 365-day online recording storage.
Right. Exactly. Very advantageous. We've solved some major crimes in our facility because we've had the ability to go back and look and see what happened.
Commissioners, just a plug for Chief Schultz, the jail commander out there, and the staff at the sheriff's office. These guys are contract negotiators. Like, I would never want to have to sit on the other side of the room and try to work through this, because they knew what they wanted when they went after this contract, and I felt like they got what they. I mean, they've been working on this for months, and it's a good agreement that they put together.
I kind of appreciate their contract negotiation skills. Sometimes I feel like I've been on the other end of that negotiation.
Well, thank you, Victor.
So, very good.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we approve Resolution R 2020-2572, a resolution approving Global Tel Link Corporation's contract agreement.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
The motion passes. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Item 7 is consideration of Resolution R-2020-2573, a resolution approving a complete reduction of past property taxes for a parcel located in Red Cliffs Desert Reserve. Eric?
So, Commissioners, this is kind of unique. Well, I would say kind of unique. This is the third time that you've had one of these before you in the last few months. This is for the parcel owned by Jim Doyle, or James Doyle. Mr. Doyle was an original key player in the creation of the Red Cliffs Desert Reserve. He agreed to place a couple of thousand acres of property in the reserve, and for a number of reasons, in part because of how large of a parcel it is and the values, he's had a hard time having the BLM purchase that or exchange that out for other property. You guys have recently given some tax relief to other property owners in the reserve based on the recognition that, hey, these people are putting their land, they're allowing it to be used for conservation purposes, they're not benefiting from it individually, but we're seeing conservation benefits from it. And so you guys have been kind of lenient on taxes in that situation. Mr. Doyle's tax bill has accrued over the last 20 years, as he's felt like he hasn't wanted to pay because he feels like it's been unfair. And so this just gives you guys the opportunity to kind of wipe that free, which hopefully will free him up as he kind of looks to what kind of a deal he can make with different entities, because there won't be a tax lien hanging over his head as he works on trying to get the federal government to acquire his land.
Thank you. I'd like to just make a comment that when these people put their lands into the HCP, they've basically given up almost even the right of access and any real right of use. And it has been the public and the residents of the county that have benefited from their decision to place these properties in the reserve. And so far, I think this has worked out fairly well for us. They've done some exchanges and got land in other places. Now, I'm not sure what Mr. Doyle's trajectory will be. But as they've exchanged out those lands earlier, those lands come on the county tax rolls, and they're usually BLM properties that aren't on the tax roll currently. So it's a net gain for the county. And I will also make a comment that two of us met with the school board, who is the biggest recipient of the property tax, and explained the situation, and we got their acquiescence and approval as well. So I think this is a good.
Very good.
Mr. Chair, I'll make the motion that we approve the resolution 2020-2573, approving a complete reduction of past property taxes for a parcel located in the Red Cliffs Desert Reserve is in our packet.
And I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Item 8 is consideration of Resolution R-2020-2575, resolution appointing a member to the 5-County Human Services Council Advisory Board. And as we often do here at the county, the person that we are proposing to be appointed to that board is Jacob Browning, who runs our Council of Aging. And this is an important board that kind of intersects with the grants and fundings that he's involved in. And he'll do a great job. And I believe that Chris served on this board prior. And anything associated with 5 County is exciting. And it's, Jake, this is going to be a wonderful board. You're going to enjoy every minute of it. So you're going to thank us later for appointing you.
Chair,
a lot of people volunteer, but county employees sometimes just get like.
Well, yeah, we give out blessings.
Very good.
Was that a motion? It sounded like one.
Yeah, I think we'll just go ahead and call
All
that
right,
a motion.
second.
If that's okay. So we have a motion and a second to appoint Jake Browning to the 5 County Human Services Council Advisory Board. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. So, item 9, consideration of resolution R-2020-2576, a resolution appointing members to the Southwest Utah Board of Health. And Commissioner Cox, I have you down to speak to that.
I would be happy to speak to that. The county has the opportunity of appointing a citizen to that board, and Dr. Craig Booth has served us very well in that position. And he brought knowledge and expertise that I think is difficult to replace, but I've known Dr. Van Norman for many years. And he was actually lead medical director at the hospital, and he's brings a wealth of qualification, knowledge, and experience. And so I would like to make a motion that we appoint Commissioner Almquist, who would be our commissioner appointee, and Dr. Stephen Van Norman to the board of Southwest Utah Board of Health. That would be my motion.
And I'll second that, and just so that you don't have to second the motion, as we're giving out blessings here.
That's right.
But I will
You
say
just
that
received one.
You just received a blessing.
I feel it.
But Southwest, the Board of Health is just, they do a tremendous amount of work. I don't think a lot of people appreciate how much they do.
Yeah.
All of the grants and how important this board is. So
The newsletter that they put out, I think 4 times a year or something, I don't know, maybe twice a year, that you get, very well done, and it's entertaining to read, but it's also helpful.
Well, I attended the last meeting in place of Commissioner Almquist, and Dr. Blodgett did a great presentation on coronavirus, and the good news is not everybody's going to die. So, he made me feel better about the fact that it's not the apocalypse, it's just something that we need
There's
to...
actually even more good news than that we're not on that ship in Japan, the Diamond Princess.
We're not driving around.
Fortunately, we had a St. George couple that was, and they're now separated, but good to see that and to know that we have the backing of a qualified public health agency that worries about pandemic and disease and things like that. Just a great thing for us.
Well, they watch closely the things that are here locally, And
Yeah.
if something doesn't look right, it looks different, they're right on it. And I appreciate that kind of care, and of course, we're interested in public health. Commissioner Cox said that that couple was separated. What he means from the ship.
Yeah.
They're not separated.
That's right. They're separated from each other physically. They're not in the same room anymore. One of them's come home and, or at least to a little quarantine at one of the military bases.
You know, they do emergency services planning and tabletop exercises. I think our emergency service folks have been involved. And when they start running through these exercises, what a pandemic would do to a community, it makes you realize how serious it is and how much you appreciate that. Well, I think that we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, the motion passes. Item 10 is a consideration of resolution R-2020-2577, a resolution approving an interlocal agreement with Laverton City regarding the construction of an additional restroom facility at the Confluence Park Trailhead. And so this is an agreement with the city of Laverton. We received a grant to help build a trailhead up at the top. Part of that is bathrooms, and there was a need to pull the electrical, the water, the sewer lines. And so in working with Laverton City, this is the interlocal agreement. Eric, you wrote the agreement.
Yep.
So
Should be a good bathroom, right?
yeah, I'm looking forward
Restrooms.
to restrooms. So Laverton City offered to pitch in, and supposedly it's all like stainless steel stuff, and they upgraded a little bit. So
Well, I'm taking that as your motion in support of.
yes, we could call that the motion.
Well, I would be happy to second that, Mr. Chairman.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
The motion passes. So item 11, I think we have some visitors here to see this, is the swearing in of acting county attorney Eric Clark. So
And it's important that this is a swearing in and not a swearing out.
swearing at.
That's later.
Because that comes later.
That comes later. I didn't want to say that, but
I think, commissioners, if I can just do a quick shout out to my kiddos and my wife that are here. It's kind of fun to have your family walk in and remind you that, you know, this is why we do what we do, is because we want to be building stuff and helping stuff for them, and it's fun to see them in kind of a work setting and remind you of that.
I have to, as we're standing, are we going to do a swearing in or?
I think Kim will come in and.
So this morning, we had a field trip that we were going out to take a look at a shooting range. And so I thought to myself, well, I'll just wear jeans and a sports jacket, because obviously I can sit down. Nobody will know that I don't have a suit on. Well, it's the one day that, you know, we get up and take about 500 pictures. So I didn't get away with it, did I? So.
I, Eric Clark,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support, obey, and defend
that I will support, obey, and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Utah,
and the Constitution of the State of Utah,
and I will discharge the duties of my office
and I will discharge the duties of my office
with fidelity.
with fidelity.
Chairman?
Yes.
You know, we've had the opportunity now, and I for just over a year, to work with Eric, and it seems like his demeanor, not only as the 10 years of working with Brock, that was explained earlier, but also that it just kind of comes natural to him to explain the law. And that I've watched Eric be, that he listens first and then speaks. That's not very common in society. But I do want to support him in the fact that he also explains things very well. I was listening to a show here Saturday that was explaining a couple of issues. It was an open forum in Salt Lake. And one of the guests there on the show was from the Tribune, and they were commenting on something that may be considered and overturned by the Supreme Court. And their comment was, well, if it's overturned by the Supreme Court, if we choose in Utah to still follow it, we can. And my wife got upset with me because I just erupted and said, no, you can't do that. The Supreme Court has said what the position is now, and Utah has to basically follow that, if not entirely. And it's those kind of understandings and things that I've gained not only over my life, but then in listening to Eric on new things. And I appreciate that very much.
Thank you, Eric. I've been really impressed with his emotional intelligence and sometimes we tend to jump to conclusions. I hate to say that in front of anybody, but he has a very nice way of walking us to a better place and explaining that. And so thank you, our new county attorney. Looking forward to working with you.
Yeah, I think Brock is, there's a lot of similarities, I believe, between Brock and Eric and as far as their style and their way of dealing with us county commissioners. It can be a little more rowdy, and you always kind of bring us back to that discussion. I don't know if you heard a part of that oath that you just took said that you couldn't talk to Zach Renstrom about ever working at the water district. And so just make sure that it wasn't. Kim didn't say that really loud, but it was in there.
It was in the fine print.
Just to be clear, that doesn't just apply to me. That applies to anybody that works for me or that I work with at the county.
Exactly. So,
thank you.
We did call Zach up as soon as we received Brock's email and reminded him that we are the ones who appoint the board. And so, anyway, we didn't go into a lot of detail on what that meant. We just wanted him to get some sort of impression there. So, but we are now on to the commissioner's report.
Well, I'll defer to Dean because he's been at a ton of meetings this last week, and I was with my dear wife on a well-deserved vacation. So,
well, it was interesting. I made my first Salt Lake City trip in a couple of months to attend meetings, and I was able to work with our legislature on Friday morning and then attend a meeting of the Utah Office of Tourism. And this week, I get to make my second trip up. I'm on the Utah County Indemnity Pool Board, and that meets on Thursday. And Nagi Zanotti, the chair of the Utah Department of Transportation, reached out to me on Saturday and says, I really think it would be beneficial for you to attend our meeting on Friday. And we, of course, met with Nagi to talk about some of the areas of mutual concern, specifically in regards to the Northern Corridor. And so I'm honored to be able to do that. And so I'll be back on Friday after.
Very good. Yeah, the legislature's in session, so all of us need to be worried and concerned. No, it is kind of a little bit of a strange year up there as far as, every legislative session seems to have its feel and its kind of theme, and I think they haven't quite picked the theme out yet, but things are going along well, and I attended meetings up there for the first time this year, but I do have to admit that the weather has delayed me from going to the legislature for the last 2 weeks. And yesterday, I don't know, I received my alert notice and it said I-15 is closed due to weather. And I thought, well, gee, that's really bad for them.
But they don't get you.
Yeah, because it was sunny here. Everything was nice. So,
well, I should comment publicly of two things. One, importantly, is that out at the Purgatory area where the jail is and where Sheriff Pulsifer works, that there was a mound of dirt there, and it made better sense that that dirt disappear. Rather than paying somebody to haul it off, Ron Whitehead and his crew took that dirt down to the county's shooting sports park nearby. And Ron, I don't know what value you would place on that dirt, but take a stab at it.
$7 a ton.
I would estimate that if we had to buy, first of all, if we had to pay to haul it off, we would have been in the $60,000 to $70,000 range. And if we had to buy that dirt, even more. So in that regard, just smart thinking about where to take it and use it. And we needed it at the shooting sports park. It ended up being better dirt than we had bought. And it also is better for the sheriff and his operations out there with emergency services and things like that. So behind the scenes, things that aren't voted on here but that are working are intended to save the citizens money and also make improvements that help them not only recreate and also be incarcerated if necessary.
Well, Commissioner Almquist is a man of great faith, and obviously your faith, along with the road department, can move mountains. So,
I like that.
Very good. Well, with that, we will stand adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.